welcome to the Chain Podcast. Today, we're going to discuss the future of returns and creating a more sustainable and socially conscious supply chain. Joining me today is Disney Pettit, the CEO and founder of Liquid Donate. Liquid Donate combined Disney's years of experience working with tech companies to implement social impact programs that leverage their existing business models and evolving technologies. She combines that with her love for the work of the people of nonprofits. With an ambitious mission, she sets out to reduce landfill waste and enable circularity by connecting retailers' excess, unsold, and returned inventory to nonprofits via seamless technology with the founding of Liquid Donate. Together, we're going to walk through the hidden world of reverse logistics and reveal how a company's proprietary software is really revolutionizing inventory management. Welcome, Disney. Let's start with something really basic here. Most people, when they hit that return button or when they call and return a product, I think we all assume that it's going back on the shelf. That's generally not the case, is it?
No, it's really not the case. And I think it's one of the biggest misunderstandings about the way that the returns process and the reverse logistics process works in the world today. So what typically happens is that about 80% of products that are returned actually end up in the landfill. And that is just not a number that most people know. And so if you put it in different terms, 8 out of 10 items that get returned are not being restocked. And that's a shocking number for a lot of people. And the reason can be a range from it's just not cost effective for the retailer to restock the product because it's missing a tag or it might have a small rip or be missing a button, all the way to the fact that the product might be out of season by the time that they even open the package to restock it. So there's a million reasons why returning inventory to stock is not actually the thing that is happening most often, and one of the main reasons why we built Liquid Donate.
Interesting. We often hear that it's almost more effective for cost companies to trash certain items than to reshelve or repackage or to reroute it. You found sort of an alternative direction for that product. Give me a sense of how that works.
Yeah, absolutely. So what happens is that with the Liquid Donate software, the retailer is in charge of what happens to their return at the point of return. So if you're a customer and you go online to return a product that you bought and the retailer knows that it's something that they don't want back, for example, maybe it was in the sale category already, or maybe it was under $15 and the retailer knows that $15 is the price point where they break even on reselling a product or not. Whatever the parameters are, the retailer is able to set those and set up an automated workflow with Liquid Donate so that when the customer goes online to make the return, based on the retailer's parameters, the item is instantly being provided with a shipping label to a nonprofit that is within about 30 miles of the customer's home, anywhere in the United States or Canada, or it is routed back to the warehouse where it's going to be able to be resold. Eventually, we're also going to be adding in upcycling and recycling features so that if we know the product isn't appropriate for return to warehouse or donation, we'll be able to send it right to an upcycler or a recycler to make sure it ends up in the right waste stream at that point. This process means that we're saving the retailer on average 50% on their reverse logistics costs because we're reducing the distance that product has to travel, therefore reducing the cost of the shipping label significantly.
Disney, you mentioned before about 80% of the products are not returned, and give me a sense of how that the environmental impact of those products. What generally happens to that 80%? You said it goes to landfill, yeah.
Yeah, so landfill or incineration are the two main things that are happening to returns today, whether it's a medium-sized business that is selling furniture all the way up to an enterprise retailer that is selling apparel. It doesn't really matter. These products have a specific amount of shelf life for a variety of reasons, and incineration or landfill is often the choice that these retailers are taking. And our product is really built to avoid that. We know that these nonprofits, there's over 1 million in the United States alone. These nonprofits are serving people who have not only the need for certain products to help improve their lives, but they also have wants. They also want some of these products that are available by purchase for other customers and other consumers. And so why not get those usable products to people who can actually use them and extend the life of that product rather than incinerate or landfill them? It just doesn't make a lot of sense.
No, absolutely. Let's go back to some of the fundamentals here. We built a supply chain to generally move one way, and that's to the customer. We generally didn't think about from the customer back to the in the supply chain. Why is it so inefficient to go the other way when it's so efficient to get to them?
Well, that is a long, complicated journey that I'm sure you are much more well versed at explaining how it works. Well, one way, but not the other. But the thing that I like to say for this question is I was the 15th employee at Postmates. So I helped to build out last mile delivery logistics for a food delivery app in a time when food delivery was not a popular thing that was really happening. And so being able to see the transition from something without technology and then implementing the technology in it to make it work more smoothly over time was really helpful in how we were deciding what we needed to build for Liquid Donate. So with the reverse logistics flow, like you said, retailers are really focused on how do I get the product from the facility where it's manufactured, typically overseas, to a warehouse in the United States where it's going to be at a distribution center and then shipped out, one or two at a time as people are ordering it. Now, to the reverse flow means that it has to go back to a warehouse where they're actually processing returns and not just necessarily new inventory. They also then have to pay somebody to open the package, take a look at it, and determine what to do with that product. And so it's not like it's just new, usable, sellable product. There's actually decisions that are being made throughout this process. And as soon as you introduce humans into the process, makes the situation a lot more expensive and a lot more complicated. And so it takes that item that was, sold for $15. It was only a dollar for the retailer to actually buy it. And now it's taking that product and turning it into a cost center.
Yeah, today's e-commerce has taken on almost a life of its own. I mean, we saw the surge during the pandemic, and it's only increased exponentially over the past 3 to 4 years. But it's made it very convenient, but there are also some unintended consequences for the returns. For example, consumers bracketing or buying multiple products so that they find the one that fits and then returning the others. Give me a sense of how e-commerce has it really transformed the returns or made it even more complicated or difficult.
Yeah, so I mean, e-commerce continues to grow year after year, and we saw that huge push during COVID. And bracketing, that process that you're talking about, is something that's so fascinating to me. And I think the main reason why it is so popular is because services like Amazon really set the stage for what other retailers are going to have to adopt in order to stay up with the market. And so with Amazon, they enable you to buy three different sizes of a product and then guilt-free return the two that you do not want. They make it super easy. You just get a free shipping label, you take it to your local Whole Foods, it doesn't matter. It's easier, it's super easy to do it now. And so other retailers are having to compete with that because otherwise people are going to just buy it on Amazon. And that's not cost effective for folks that don't have as big of a supply chain to move these products back and forth. So these practices, especially led by Amazon, have led the market to more inefficient and expensive processes that small and medium-sized businesses can't really keep up with and compete with. And therefore, these things that Amazon has taught consumers how to do and that are okay to do are actually really hurting small and medium-sized businesses, and something that we want to help protect over time.
Really interesting, Disney. Let's dig into that a little bit. From e-commerce, where you can buy almost anything today online, to the traditional, I'm going to go into the store and find it, and then maybe price shop online as well. Do return rates differ for online versus in-store purchases, or are we seeing the same, sort of behavior?
We're seeing online purchases just growing year over year, but in store is also growing. I think right
Mhm.
now there's a big shift to going back in store. A lot
Mhm.
of retailers are investing in the in-store experience and trying to bring more folks back into the stores. And so I think it'll be interesting to see that how that trends over time. But the return rates of online e-commerce are going up year over year, and I don't think that's going to stop. We just might see some of it mitigated by the Gen Z shopper being lured back into physical stores. But I'm not sure how that one's going to go yet. Do you have a crystal ball on it?
I'm not sure we do yet, but one of the things that we do know through our research is that your point about generational, sort of bias does have an impact on purchases. We tend to see the older generation, sort of my, groups, we tend to have a say-do gap. While we say that we're concerned about sustainability and ethical business practices, more often than not, it's price as the primary determinant. What we're seeing with the younger generations, and they're more likely to spend consistent with their values and with their expectations. However, who has the pocketbook? And generally, it's the older generations. But I think to your point, the younger generations, while they're much more consistent in terms of their, buying consistent with their expectations, they're going to have the pocketbook. So I think we need to be prepared for that generational shift in the buying behavior. Are you seeing a generational shift in terms of returns, or how the younger generation buys versus the older?
We're seeing it the same. We're seeing that the younger generation is returning at the same rate as the older generation. I think that, like you said up top, it's the best kept secret in retail is the process that these returns are actually not ending up in the hands of people who need them or ending up back on store shelves. And so I think it's less about generation being indifferent to the cause, but rather it's just something that is very unknown that is happening with these returns. And so as more and more consumers that are of the younger generation continue to learn about the process of returns and what is happening on the incineration and landfilling side, I believe there will be more of a shift. What we have seen is that when we talk to retailers and brands that are owned by millennials or Gen Z folks, they are more likely to adopt our technology and our software. We find that it is a much faster, much easier sell because they're used to using different types of technology to integrate with in order to make their processes more efficient, more cost effective, and more environmentally friendly.
Yeah, dig into this a little bit before for me, because the process is really key here. Because once you identify it, then you can work on improving it. The concept of reprogramming the return, what does that mean in practice for the companies and for the individuals?
So to reprogram a return means that we're actually finding the best outcome for the product at the point of return. So if you're a customer and you go online and you want to make the return of this product, there's multiple outcomes that are actually appropriate for that return. It really depends on what the retailer wants at that given moment in time. And in the supply chain, especially the reverse logistics supply chain, it is so messy and it can change hour by hour that being able to actually control your returns process is something that retailers have never had access to before. And so let's say that you are a warehouse manager and you are in Denver and there is a snowstorm that hits and just totally locks your facility out of being able to access it. You could actually, if you were using Liquid Donate, go into our system and turn off returns from coming back to your warehouse until the snowstorm is gone. And so you could send everything for those 4 days while you're out of service to nonprofits and receive the tax benefit from all of those items versus having a bunch of stuff piling up and
Mhm.
creating a backflow. So the ability to really move quickly in the space is something that the software has really enabled us on the technology side to be more receptive to what's happening with these retailers on a day-to-day basis and reprogramming not only how the items move to the warehouse, but when and if they move to the warehouse at all. On the storefront side, we're actually able to provide in-store donation boxes so that if there are products that are being pulled off the shelf because they have been there for too long and they're not selling, not moving excess, not moving that product. Actually empowering employees to say, hey, you can fill this one box up a month with returns and excess product. Send the rest back to the warehouse where we'll make a decision on what we want to do with it. But this one box every month is yours to decide what is going to a nonprofit to support them. We provide all the shipping labels for that as well. So the in-store experience on the employee morale side is able to be supported by this, as well as the individual returns being more cost effective on the e-com side. So we've really thought about how we can make this more inclusive without doing any blaming of the retailers.
It's interesting you point out that the inputs that the retailer can set the parameters in terms of when or when not that they're going to accept. What does the donor see in terms of, are they seeing who they donated to, or just the fact that they donated it back or they returned it?
Yeah, so we have total transparency. That was one of the things when we were doing a
Mhm.
lot of early market research about building out Liquid Donate that we knew that retailers wanted to see is what's actually happening to my
Yeah.
product? How can I track it? Where is it actually going? Who is it helping? Are there any stories tied to it? Just a lot of things that, when you have one employee who cares about stuff, who's volunteering their time to go take this stuff somewhere every few months, you just can't expect them to collect that type of data and report it back to you. It's just not really a feasible ask. And so with our software, because of the way that we built it out, we're able to provide transparency at every step throughout the process and include the nonprofit that the product went to, any quotes or photos that were attached to the donation from the nonprofit. We can automatically put those through to the donor, the retailer. And then we also are able to provide structured impact reports on a quarterly or an annual basis so that we can report back to the retailer what happened, what categories of folks were supported by the donations that they made, how many pounds they diverted from the landfill. All of this information that they can use for internal promotion, external promotion, whatever they'd like. And we just make it super easy to do that. We also provide all of the tax receipts in an automated fashion so that at the end of the quarter or the year, their accounting team can just go in and download a CSV of all of these aggregate 15, 20, 30, $50 receipts that they would have never taken advantage of before. And so we've seen retailers have a real tax benefit from cataloging our aggregate receipts.
It's interesting when you talk about volume. Give me a sense of numbers here. How much product has Liquid donated to help redistribute so far? What metrics do you use?
Yeah, so in the last 4 years since we've started, we've donated over 12 million items that otherwise likely would have ended up in the landfill. We work with over 150 different retailers and 4,000 unique nonprofits across the United States and Canada. We have really large donation partners on the nonprofit side, from the Red Cross all the way down to individual one-person volunteer nonprofits. Anyone can sign up on the website, and as far as the donors go, we work with everyone from small businesses that are supporting us with 1 to 2 returns a day, all the way up to enterprise retailers that are doing 1 to 200 returns per hour.
So what kind of goods are we talking about here? What's the most common donated item on the platform?
Yeah, so there's three that tie for first place with us in terms of like most commonly donated items. The first one is apparel.
Okay.
Apparel is usually very affordable to produce on the retail side, and so they don't typically want it back.
Yeah.
And there's so much of it to go around. So apparel is a great, super easily shippable product for us. The second one is a little bit of an odd one. It's furniture. So furniture companies are actually what we went after first when I founded the company, because I was like, in my last job at Postmates, I built a product called Food Fight that matched the excess food from the restaurants we worked with shelters in 700 cities across the US. And
Mhm.
from that, I was like, well, prepared food is the hardest thing to move. What's the second hardest thing to move? And I was like, it's furniture. So if we figure out furniture, we can figure out everything else. So we work with a lot of great retailers like Thuma, Tufted Needle, and Room and Board that are all donating these really beautiful, wonderful pieces of furniture that are going to a good home. And then the third category is CPG, consumer packaged goods. This was a category that we kind of accidentally fell into, but we love it. When there is a product that is short dated,
Yeah.
so that means, I mean, for the folks that are listening, that means there's less than 30 days of shelf life,
Mhm.
or on the best by date. A lot of grocery stores actually reject it upon arrival. And
Mhm.
so now there's these truckloads full of product that have nowhere to go except for back to the warehouse, unload it, and then take it to the landfill eventually. And so what our software does is once the item is short dated, it actually throws a flag in the system for the warehouse management team and says, hey, instead of even taking this to the retailer, why don't we just take it directly to a nonprofit that's willing to accept a truckload of this consumer packaged good product? And that has been a game changer for a lot of the folks we work with in terms of saving money and in terms of getting tax receipts.
Really cool. So tell me, on the nonprofit side, having worked with a number of nonprofits, there's consistency in terms of their demand, and variability of supply creates a lot of problems in certain sectors here. Give me a sense
Yeah.
how the nonprofits engage with the platform so they can utilize not only the benefit that you're providing them, but do so in a consistent manner.
Yeah. So on the nonprofit side, we have over 4,000 that are registered across the US and Canada today. And like I said earlier, there's over 1 million nonprofits in the United States. The reason I bring that up is because so many people think that there's only a few nonprofits in the world. And there's over 1 million just in the
Oh
United
yeah.
States. So there's a lot of people out there who are trying to do the right thing to help folks, and so we want to support them as much as we can. So with nonprofits, they go to our website, they sign up for free, and they're able to then access our marketplace, or they can access our instant donations through Magic Matches. So we give, just like we give the retailers choice, we give the nonprofits choice as well. Would they like to just automatically receive packages of the items that they've told us they're interested in receiving? Or would they like to have to go online and manually opt in per order? And so they make that selection when they register with us. They can change it at any time. But if they sign up for Magic Matches, all of a sudden, books, t-shirts, furniture, mattresses, the things that they've asked for just start showing up. And if they would prefer to not just have products show up and they would rather go in and manually shop and opt in for those, shop in the sense that it's free, but go through a checkout process, then they can do that if that's their preference. So we let the nonprofits choose one or the other or
Mhm.
both. Whatever works best for them is fine with us. And even though we have so many nonprofits on the platform today and we've donated so many products, we still have a need on the supply side. We don't have enough retailers donating enough excess inventory and returns, that we're always looking for more retailers to sign up on the platform and donate their excess inventory and save money in the process.
Give me a sense on, the business case for the retailers. Is it more on the cost saving side, the tax deduction, or part of my ESG, priorities? Give me a sense of where
Yeah.
this fits right now, or all of them.
It really depends on the retailer.
Yeah.
So sometimes we'll talk to a retailer and the cost savings and the tax receipt are the only thing that matter to them. Sometimes we talk to a company that is not profitable and therefore the tax receipt doesn't really make a big difference for them. And then the other boxes, we'll talk to whoever is the head of sustainability at a company, and they will be like, I love this. Like, I'm going to push it and be the champion internally for this to work because we're going to be saving. I mean, we just released a case study that we saved a retailer 3.9 million miles of transit last year.
Mhm.
Like that's some serious mileage. And when you're thinking about ESG goals, that is a huge benefit on the ESG side. And then also it means that you're able to pay less in carbon credits if that's something that you're also doing. So there's cost savings all across the board. Everyone cares about those. That's how we get a lot of buy-in. And the environmental side, I mean, it's great. It's a great benefit that you can save money and do the right thing at the same time. And that's really what we wanted to build from the beginning.
Do you see any growing pressure either from the consumers or regulators for companies to reduce their returns? Are you seeing any movement towards that? Because this seems to be the last frontier within the supply chain in terms of our cost savings and what to do with the product. You mentioned apparel. The amount of apparel that we're manufacturing is significant compared to the number of people that we have, and yet we're seeing more purchases and more returns. We're not seeing less, especially because of how cheap or how inexpensive our products are right now from some. Give me a sense of, are we working with the manufacturers to reduce their SKUs, or is this now just a back end problem? And we're going to continue to produce more.
I think the answer is yet to be seen. As far as liquid donate is concerned, we focus on reduce, reuse, recycle. And
Yeah.
we know that the reduction side of reduce, reuse, recycle is what we want to get to eventually.
Yeah.
But we have to start by putting these things back into the reuse cycle and doing that transparent reporting on it. We believe that once we're able to show a retailer, hey, you spent, however many millions of dollars last year on returns, and you spent this much on donating them. This information will help them determine what they should do in the future. But hopefully, with things like, AI and better forecasting, we'll be able to order less product and have less overproduction. But I think that's more on the actual retailers and the supply chain and trends versus what we're trying to do, which is, hey, like this problem exists. We're going to acknowledge the problem exists. We're providing a solution to fix it. And right now, the reuse piece and the recycle piece is really what we focus on. And eventually, our data hopefully will support the reduction in the creation of the inventory in the first place.
Yeah,
But the
that would
industry has
help
to
out.
want that.
Yeah, again, the consumer has to also be responsible for what they buy and what, their criteria is for purchases. So you identify CPG, furniture, and apparel as your top three. What's on the horizon? What do you see as a beneficial return process for other products?
So we are completely category agnostic. And so we are happy to take returns of any excess inventory. We've seen a lot of different, supplement companies and things like that utilize us because they're kind of this CPG plus traditional product category, but they have an expiration date. And so that's been really interesting to see that grow. We just signed a really exciting partner this morning that's going to be donating things like, cards and plushies and vases and just things that, are really nice to have for nonprofits and schools and better for them to not end up in the landfill. But as far as what happens next, we're just really doubling down on the furniture and mattress piece because that's something that no one has solved. And there's no good alternative for that today.
Interesting. So what advice do you give to our supply chain and logistics leaders as they're looking to reduce their return related waste? What advice do you give them?
I would say listen to the data that you're receiving from the partners and the vendors that are working on reducing this. It's not going to happen overnight, and we know that it's not going to happen overnight, but once we have more transparent reporting and understanding of what is happening with these products and lean into AI. I think that the artificial intelligence option of a lot of what is happening on the manufacturing space is really interesting. It takes the product life cycle from being, one like 6 months for creating and getting a product to market at minimum to a month. And so we're actually able to see these trends and spot them and say, hey, like these are the trends that are happening. Let's actually get this product to market more quickly. Or are we able to launch a website with this product with an AI created image to see what the actual desire for this product is so that we don't over manufacture it? I think that there's a lot of opportunity here that is kind of being discovered by some of the smaller manufacturing companies. And so I would hope that in an effort to reduce waste across the entire ecosystem, that these that logistics providers, whether they work for a large company or a small one, are really thinking about how do we creatively use technology in order to better project what we actually should be creating. And when we have over created product or have product that is needing to be returned, we utilize software solutions like Liquid Donate to minimize our impact.
Disney, do you see more utilization from small and medium sized or the larger companies? Where are you seeing the pickup in your, the retailers?
So we have a lot of conversations going on with large enterprise retailers who are
Mhm.
taking a look at the solution. We have a few that are on board today that we really enjoy working with, but on the small and medium sized side, we find a lot of impact because we have a Shopify app. A lot of
Mm.
these small businesses are selling on Shopify and
Right.
they don't need complicated returns flows.
Yep.
They just want donate or return to warehouse.
Mhm.
And so that's what our Shopify app offers for them. And it can be used the same day they find out about us. The process is super simple. We have a really streamlined payment structure that is a pay per use policy. And so they only pay for the items that get matched. So it's something that works really well for small and medium sized businesses. And we're scaling up for enterprise.
When we talk about the consumer side, we had a little bit of a comment in terms of their buying decisions. What does the average consumer, what should they pay attention to when they're buying or when they're returning? Two very different experiences.
So when people are buying product, I think that there's a lot of different things that go into making that decision. I mean, of course, people who can buy a more expensive, more durable product and buy it for life, of course, that's going to be something that is the best case outcome, but not everybody can afford that. Sometimes people do buy from, Zara or H&M or a fast fashion place because they need a blazer for a job interview tomorrow and maybe they don't have that much money. And that's totally fine. I mean, people have had Zara blazers for years. It totally can happen. And so I think that on the buying side, just doing your best to be conscious of what you can with your purchasing power. I hate to say anything beyond that because people are in so many different financial
Yeah, they
situations
are.
that
Yeah.
that sometimes these lower cost items are what they can afford.
Mhm.
Otherwise, the market wouldn't really exist for them if people weren't buying them. So I think on the buying front, being conscious about what it is that you're buying, supporting secondhand marketplaces like thrift stores like Goodwill, or going online and seeing if something is available on Poshmark or Depop. Those are great resources to buy secondhand and kind of support this more circular market. And on the return side, just avoid returning product as much as possible. Of course, our business is based on returns, so we love when people do returns, but for the sake of the planet, we don't think this is possible, but we would love to put ourselves out of business because people were returning less. But it's not going to change. I mean, I think that, like I said up top, Amazon has really trained people on what to expect: free shipping, free returns. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon.
No, I think the expectations have only grown since the pandemic. So give me a sense. There's a lot of exchange, secondhand, used clothes, barter, websites that are out there. Are you a similar, support, or are those complementary to what you do?
Yeah, they're complementary to what we do. So today we actually support for disposition outcomes for the excess inventory or the returns. So the retailer can choose certain subsets of product that they want returned to their warehouse for resale, certain subsets of their product that they want to go for donation, certain
Mhm.
ones that they want to go to a recycler or an upcycler because they're just not appropriate for donation for whatever reason. And then ones that are going to actually go to a secondary market for resale. So an integration with a third party reseller. And then we attempt to sell it that way through those platforms. If it doesn't sell, of course, the donation option is always there as a backup.
It's interesting that you took a fairly mundane activity and now you've turned it into a profit center, not only for, well, a cost saving center for nonprofits,
Yeah.
because obviously they're getting the benefit of it, but you're reducing landfill and the impact that our excess inventory has in almost a lot of cases here. So what's next for Liquid Donate? Give me a sense of what the trajectory looks like for the next 3 to 5 years.
So in addition to the retail platform that we've built, we're also moving into the event space. So we've realized that we can donate anything. And
Mhm.
just think about the last time you went to a conference or a music
Yeah.
festival or an event. There was probably a lot of stuff left behind if you made it to the end. And so what we've done is we've started to build out technology that can support event donations, like
Mhm.
actually having the ability to use our AI to take photos of the product that's left behind, and it tells you what to do with that excess inventory, provides a shipping label instantly, or coordinates a logistics company to come pick it up and take it to the appropriate disposition outcome. So we're really just taking over the entire donation system and making it easier to donate than to throw it away.
Very cool, Disney. I'm so excited about what you're doing here because it addresses a number of key points within the supply chain. Number one, the inventory, the excess inventory that we all see and we're all dealing with, and that creates a CFO's nightmare. So reduce my inventory, reduce our costs. I'm very, happy about that. Secondly, reducing the impact on our environment from our
Yeah.
excess purchases. I think that's not only an appropriate and noble cause, but more importantly, the impact. You can see the impact that you're making and you can quantify it. And I think that's extraordinary. To our listeners, the next time that you buy something or the next time that you're returning something, remember there's a story behind it, not only how it got there, but what happens after you return it. And so companies like Liquid Donate, they're working to rewrite that ending and turn it into a catalyst for change. Disney, thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Thanks. It was my pleasure to be here. I appreciate it.
All the best.
You too.